Welcome to episode 191 of Pop Culturally Deprived, where each week we watch a movie I've never seen before, which is somehow still most of them, and talk about the good, the bad, and the 10-second car. This week we're going to be talking about The Fast and the Furious on your I Like the Tuna Here podcast.
So a film about racing cars really fast and being all actiony bro hero dude, and you're referencing the sandwich quote.
Yes, I am.
Okay, starting us off well. Before we get into that though, crikey, there's going to be a lot to unpack this episode. Before we get into that, we wanted to make an announcement. You have probably already heard this. We put out a special episode a short while ago. In the future, to still be recorded, podcasting is time travel.
Podcasting is time travel.
That we are winding up towards our final episode of Pop Culture Deprived. We are now on episode 191. We are going to be going to episode 200, and then the podcast is going to be considered finished. We've seen all the movies. Manderley.
Oh, I like
Manderley is no longer Pop Culture Deprived. She's pop culturally middling, having seen 200 more films. Pop culturally replete. So we are going to be doing a new show. There is going to be absolutely be something to replace this. We are very excited about it. And we're going to be talking more about that nearer the time. Mm-hmm. But for now, we want to commemorate. We want to talk about Pop Culture Deprived. Our final episode, episode 200, is going to be a wonderful extravaganza looking back on the films that we've covered, on the podcasts we've done, what we've enjoyed, what we haven't enjoyed, what we're sad about not doing. Given we're finishing episode 200, because of the global situation this year, we haven't done my dream ambition that we got so close to of doing a 4-part Dune series. Maybe we return to it. We'll see. What we would love is to hear from everyone. We want to know, we've got wonderful listeners out there. We've loved interacting with you. We love hearing from you. We love the pleas for the different films we should do. What have you enjoyed? What are the episodes and the films that you look back on and have really enjoyed? What have you liked about the films, about the episodes, about our podcasting and our relationship? What do you wish we'd covered? What do you wish we'd not covered? What do you wish we'd cover again and give another chance? We want you to let us know. So whether you write to us, podcast@eloquentgushing.com on email, or you tweet us or DM us at eloquentgushing, whether you find us on Instagram, on Facebook, on all the other places, or you go to speakpipe.com/eloquentgushing and even record us a voice message. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have a load of messages that we can talk about on that final show, on that look back over 200 episodes, 4 years, a longer than the last president administration show that we can talk about. So do make sure you contact us in any of those ways and let us know your thoughts about Pop Culture Deprived. So, Vin Diesel, Paul Walker. The most important question I think we need to start off with in your viewing of this film.
Okay.
Which one is fast and which one is furious?
Paul Walker is fast and Vin Diesel is furious.
Okay, thank you. Good, we can move on now. It's like Bonnie and Clyde or something.
Neither of them are particularly good actors.
Yeah. I mean, they're playing to type here quite strongly, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, this is Vin Diesel's first lead role, right? He's always done supporting roles before this, but he's never been good. He's just kind of become part of pop culture, and he's been accepted for who he is and as he is, and he's never had to get better.
Yeah, well, I mean, would you say the same about Schwarzenegger or Stallone?
Yes, actually, yes, both of them.
This is the point. You do go from those kind of guys into Vin Diesel and a few others, and then into Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
But Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson can actually act.
No?
You don't think so?
No. He is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson in everything he does.
Okay. I liked him in Jumanji, what can I say?
Yeah, but he's still playing himself. I mean, he's doing some interesting stuff as the, switching characters and different styles, but he is still himself.
All right, fair enough.
Speaking of people who will come up in this franchise in the future. But we have always had this with our action heroes. You had John Wayne, Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood's a slightly different case, but, you know, these guys played what they played.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think this film is unapologetic about what it's doing.
Oh, I agree. I 100% agree with that.
In some ways, there are moments to a fault. There are things about this film that the franchise itself does leave behind, particularly when it moves out of the street racing stuff. Because, I mean, you've not seen any of the Fast and the Furious films, have you?
I have not. Well, I've seen this one now.
Yeah. Like, they do the 3 films, and they're okay. This is the best of the first 3.
Okay.
Second one is really not great. Third one, and then they reboot it with the film Fast and Furious, and then they move into Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, Fast 7, and so on and so forth. But they reboot it from going from street races to being sort of Mission Impossible.
Oh.
Spies and action and big adventures they have to go and do, usually with fast cars.
Well, yeah, of course.
So, although there is a continuity between the films, and in fact the films aren't in chronological sequence, the third one comes after the 6th one. I think. Yeah.
What?
Partially because there's a character in the third one. No, I won't get into it. You'll watch them at some point. It's fine. So it is slightly weird in that, but then they reboot it and they turn it into an entirely different franchise. They change the nature of it. They introduce more characters. They bring back characters. They introduce Dwayne The Rock Johnson. They introduce Gal Gadot, and other people.
Did I even need to watch this movie? Could we have just started with number 4?
No. I think the core of it is in here. This is a very different film from them, but this is the core of what they started with, so it's great.
Okay.
Part of the thing with them changing it is the way they then market and distribute overseas.
Oh.
Because by number 7, it's now $1.5 billion per film taking. Mm-hmm. But $1 billion of that is overseas.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
It takes a lot more internationally than it does in the US. And they market and put it together as such.
Okay.
So again, it becomes a very different thing. But this film, going back right to the core, is about street racing and a bit of crime.
Dude, this is the most 90s movie that was ever in 2001.
It really is.
It really is. Like,
With
the cars, the hair, the clothes. Like, I mean, Paul Walker is the 90th boy who ever 90'd.
Just his sort of very curly, floppy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Love it to bits.
Yep.
There are things in it I will defend about. You can see it moving on. This is the first film I can remember that does the cars are racing really fast together and the camera's moving between them. Mm-hmm. You know, some of those shots, I can't remember it in any film before this. Maybe there were, because there was a whole spate of like car films for a time, but this was the first one that really did that seemed to be, oh, it actually looks like they're all in different cars and yet the camera's moving and showing everyone at the same time. That's cool.
Right. Okay.
So, it brings stuff forward there. But yes, it's very 90s. It's very 90s in its treatment of relationships and women. Mm-hmm. In the bro code.
Yes.
Of that ilk. I'm hoping a lot of your enjoyment of the film is coming from having finally watched Point Break.
So you don't know if I enjoyed the film yet, do you?
Oh yeah, this is a great film. This is just fun. This is just silly.
So you're just assuming fun. I liked it.
Oh yeah. I assume you came away going like, well, that was ridiculous, but I quite enjoyed it.
Well, that's a fair assessment, actually.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous because you should come away from this going that was terrible. That was not well acted. That was not well plotted. There was a lot in there that it didn't need, and yet it's quite fun.
Oh, dude, I got so invested in those characters. Like I was sitting there, like my hand was over my face. I was getting really stressed out. I was like, oh my god, it was insane. It was insane. I had no idea he was going to turn out to be a cop. And then at one point, yeah, I didn't know that.
So when they finally arrest him and take him away, you're like, what?
Then when they revealed that he was a cop, I was surprised that was the reveal. My first thought was, well, of course it's got to be Vin Diesel and his group that's the carjackers. But then they did a really good job of selling it at being Johnny Tran, Charlie Tran,
Johnny Tran?
Johnny Tran. Like, and I looked at Joseph and I said, this doesn't make any sense. If they're the truck jackers, what is the point of this movie? Like, they sold me on it until, of course, that wasn't it. And I was just invested. I was like on the edge of my seat when dude was hanging from his arm from the side of the truck.
Right, yeah.
And they were trying to save him. Michelle Rodriguez's car like spins out and she's just like flipping, like I'm panicking. Like I know nobody dies because there's 8 more movies. But like I was so stressed out watching this. Right. I don't know why I got so invested in all of these characters in this utterly ridiculous movie, but I did. Absolutely did.
Nice.
I think you asked me a question that I was supposed to be answering and I didn't, but there's all of my opinions.
Was your watch and enjoyment of this informed by Point Break?
I don't actually think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Because in general, it's got the Point Break thing going on with it. Mm-hmm. Undercover cop, looking into a thing, gets involved in the extreme sport, whatever the extreme sport is, and in the end lets the bad guy get away.
Yeah.
It goes to a lot of different things in there, but they are very, very similar films. And I think this has a levity to it that's a little bit more enjoyable.
Yes.
I think because it knows it's slightly ridiculous. It's not wink, wink, nudge, nudge, isn't this daft? It takes itself seriously, but then you've got, like, him giving Vin Diesel giving Paul Walker the beer from the guy that doesn't like Paul Walker, and Paul Walker wiping the top of it. Like, it's a stupid little moment. But the film is full of that kind of just small character stuff.
Yeah.
And I dig it.
You can have any beer you want as long as it's a Corona. Which did not age well.
No.
Yeah, Corona is going to be a word that we just can't hear anymore.
Yeah, for a very long time.
Yeah.
Yes. So you enjoyed it?
I did. I think part of it is, and we used to talk about this a lot, and we haven't talked about it in a while, but you know I'm a sucker for found family. Mm-hmm. And this whole crew is a giant found family.
Yeah.
And they don't do a great job of showing the passage of time. Like, I don't actually know how much time passed in this movie. Like, the cop part seemed to indicate it was going really, really fast because they had to move now and, like, break this thing. But they were together long enough for Brian to actually become part of this found family.
Yeah.
Right? Those two things don't quite go together, but I bought it, and I'm a sucker for that sort of thing.
And that becomes a staple of the franchise. Vin Diesel at the end giving a speech about her family.
Ah, okay.
Like that's kind of the end of every film.
Okay.
And maybe a square off against whoever the unlikely friend they've made during that film is.
Okay. So basically all the movies are the same.
I mean, they are, but they aren't.
Okay.
Part of the point of it is the set pieces. So this has 2 or 3 really good set pieces in it. But they're fairly small, and we'll come back to enjoying the fairly small stuff in a bit. But as it goes on, every film has to escalate on the last film until you get to like number 6, and there's a chase down interstate with a tank and their cars, and it's like over some cliffs, and one of them falls off a cliff, and one of them jumps from a car to grab the person off the cliff. You know, there's a bit where they're driving away with a tanker rolling on fire behind them.
Of course.
Well, I mean, like, it's cinema spectacle.
Do. I mean, it's like the close. Okay, so the thing that comes to mind when I think about that kind of movie franchise where each one has to top the other one is Sharknado.
Okay, yeah.
Have you
Okay.
seen those?
I haven't seen them, but I know exactly what you mean.
But it does exactly the same thing. But it's enjoyable to people who enjoy the franchise. But they also know exactly what they're doing, and they poke fun at it, and they lean into it because it's just what you do. And so just doing that doesn't automatically make it a negative for me. Like, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and they are all the same because they are all some sort of car thing, some sort of mission, that ends up being solved by car things. You know, you can be very reductive and get it down to those points.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, but in that way, every Star Wars movie is the same.
Well, exactly. You can get, you know, superhero films and things down to some fairly base points. I don't want to rave about these films too hard because some of them are trash. Mm-hmm. That Hobbs and Shaw spin-off film, one of the worst films I've seen in recent years.
I want to see that one.
Oh, it's terrible. It's really bad. The trailer is significantly better than the film itself.
Oh, wow.
That's you can just stick to the trailer. You know?
All right.
And there are films in here that are less good than the others. But as a franchise, it's good fun. And as a first film, this is a really solid grounding because it's small.
Yeah.
They've given themselves places to go from here because it is just some people ripping off lorries with TVs and VCRs on them. Mm-hmm. Maybe DVD players if they're fancy. And races in this small bit of LA.
Right.
Like, it's not the world is ending. It's not every cop in LA is driving after us and stuff.
Right.
Small
It is very small in a specific locality.
Exactly.
Although apparently this is a part of LA where the time space continuum means that it takes 5 minutes to drive a quarter of a mile at 100 miles an hour. Because that's a thing that happened in this movie.
Brilliant. Love it. Because you've got to give everyone their moment. You've got to see what every person does. It's, you know, it's important to see how it goes.
Yeah.
I do think equipping all the cars with turbo boost buttons is just a bit... it's heavily video gamey, and it takes away from the skill of the driving. And they seem to put it down to how late can you wait to press your turbo boost, and then you win.
Yeah. Yeah.
They go to that point a little bit.
I don't know. I don't know enough about street racing to know such things.
Right?
But they all did it, so it seemed relatively normal.
Who knows? I couldn't tell you, to be honest with you.
I don't know.
So, Paul Walker is the fast.
Yes.
So you didn't think he was going to be a cop until...
No, I had no idea he was a cop until he walked in, after they arrested him. I thought, they were actually arresting him, but then they took him in and he was the cop. I was like, what?
Okay.
Completely shocked me.
Good.
Had no idea.
That's quite nice. I think some of that is because they don't actually set up that this is a cop thing.
No, not at all.
They set up that what's happening with the jacking of the lorries, but then they just go to Brian Walker sat there. Paul Walker, Brian O'Connor. Just sat there eating a tuna sandwich.
Yeah.
And the story just continues.
Yeah, yeah.
It's cool. And in some ways, the story of the lorry jackings is just such a small part of it. Mm-hmm. It almost doesn't matter. I feel like in Point Break, and maybe this is because he does chase him after one of the bank robberies, but the bank robberies play a much bigger role.
Yeah, I think the truck jackings here are just the plot bunny, the plot device. If those didn't happen, the cops wouldn't be investigating them and Brian wouldn't be infiltrating this group, right? You know, but we only see one of them. Right? We see one at the beginning and then we see them again at the end.
Yeah.
In that final one. Because they also kept it pretty close to the chest that it really was Dominic's crew. Right? Because they focused so heavily on their cars, and we knew that the cars used in the carjackings were not those cars.
No. Yes.
And so they tried to misdirect away from that a lot. And so we didn't see a lot of the actual truck jackings, carjacking, whatever you call them. Lorry jackings.
They're lorries.
They're trucks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, the introduction of Vin Diesel is quite cool because you have these sort of long shots of him sat there eating his food but not really engaging with anyone. And then finally Mia's like, hey, can you come and do something? And he starts getting involved. It's quite a nice setup for the character that, okay, this is a significant guy we're going to be introduced to. I quite liked that because the film is sort of already informing us about him. rather than, again, thinking of Point Break, like Patrick Swayze is just playing football or something on, aren't they throwing a soft American football around on the beach with Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Honestly,
I think it is
don't
just,
even remember.
yeah, and it ends up hitting Keanu Reeves or something. It's fairly innocuous by comparison.
Well, I feel like his introduction doesn't really go with the characterization of the character they gave us in the rest of the movie.
Oh, okay.
Because he came out all burly and gruff and yeah. But then
Whatever that mime is.
But then whenever we see him again at the first street race, when Brian's trying to get in the race, he's not mean to him at all. He's like, let's just see what your car looks like. You know, okay, you can buy in. You know, he wasn't gruff at all at that point. And he never really was. Again, the only other time we saw him yell and get angry was when Brian's the one who saved his ass. And the other guy, I can't remember, the one who hates Brian.
Vince
is like, why'd you bring him back here? And he yells at him, you know.
Because he was the only one who came to save me. He's my family.
Right, yeah, exactly, exactly. But, other than that, he didn't really raise his voice a lot. He was very kind of controlled. And I think that's even actually one of the points they tried to make in the movie. Like, they told us, because I think Brian was telling his superiors, I don't think it's Dominic, because Dominic has too much control to do something like this.
Yeah, because their reply to him is, but he put this guy in the hospital. And we even get Dominic telling him the story about, like, this is the guy who hit my father, who killed him and stuff, and I just, beat him. And so we're like, oh, okay, we kind of understand why you did it.
Right, yeah.
Not sure of that, which is why then you see it when Johnny Tran goes at him and calls him a narc. He's like, I'm not no narc, and starts a big brawl. Quite cool, that's good. The moment of Vin Diesel acting. Vin Diesel acts for the moment when he finds out Brian's a cop. When Brian phones the police to be like, I've got a man down, he's been shot, I need ambulance here, the helicopter, all this sort of thing. And Vin Diesel has to act like, I hate you, I'm gonna kill you, but you're saving my friend and your family, so what can I do? And he's just trying to tell it all over his face. Vin Diesel's face doesn't move. So
no, it doesn't.
like, it's a great moment because you can see him trying, like, I've got raging emotions inside of me, but he can't show them. It's such a shame. And you can see how hard he's trying, which is why it's so good. But also...
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Stallone wouldn't have been able to do that. Schwarzenegger wouldn't. That is a lot for someone to carry off, and I think you need an expressive actor, a Pacino or a Leonardo DiCaprio. Someone to, God, I've got all these things going on with me. Yeah. Yeah,
that's not Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel has, like, one thing, and it's Vin Diesel.
Yes.
Like, trying to get emotion and range out of him is not... Like, I don't know if he gets better. I don't actually think he does over the last 20 years, but maybe he did.
I don't think so. I think this is a really good character for him. And from what I hear, he does a lot of good behind the scenes. He's one of the driving forces, if you excuse the pun, of the Fast and Furious franchise. And getting it rebooted and turning it into the big thing it's become was he had these ideas for, hey, we could go somewhere with this. And he pulls off the leading man with the big chest and the big biceps. Great, good on him.
Yeah. Okay. He's Groot, right?
He is Groot. He is also the Iron Giant.
I haven't seen the Iron Giant.
Have you not? Oh, the Iron Giant's good. Yes, he was the titular Iron Giant.
Didn't know that.
As well as being in various random things. I'm having a quick scan through, see if there's anything I want to call out. No, he's in the Riddick series, but they're all trash.
Yeah, I saw Pitch Black a long, long, long time ago, and that was when I was like, wow, that guy can't act.
Yeah. And again, it's a, taciturn action.
Yeah, and then I never watched any of the other Riddick ones, so.
No, they're not very good. So. Pitch Black is okay, to be fair, but fine. You mentioned Michelle Rodriguez.
I was surprised at how little she was in this because I know she's a big part of the franchise. Mm-hmm. And so I assumed she would have a large role, and she was just there to be a token girl and kiss Vin Diesel.
Yeah, token girl, except all the other girls we see are scantily clad trophies, for want of a better word. Mm-hmm. Or Mia, so the Madonna.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's the Madonna, or what we, colloquially call something else opposite of the Madonna. Or there's Letty, the tomboy. And even when he gets to the party and she's sat on the floor playing video games with the boys. And it's like, and there's all these other girls in skimpy tops and shorts hanging on the arms of different men.
Right, but they did still give us the gratuitous sex scene between them.
I was surprised by that because it is a fairly minimal thing, but it's them in the garage whilst working on a car, getting hot and heavy.
Yeah, it had no reason to be in the movie.
No, and that's the weird thing. I had expected it because we get Brian and Mia sleeping together. Mm-hmm. There is a point where there is a relationship developing, but they're not the ones who get the gratuitous sex scene.
Right. Yeah, it made no sense unless they were just like, Michelle Rodriguez is hot and we need her skin in the movie.
Right, yeah.
Which I think is probably what they did.
Possibly so. And if that's the thing that the film could and I think does absolutely leave behind. It's got some of the slight toxic masculinity of just eyeing up women and commenting on the way they look, and always having beautiful women who are mostly leg throughout the films. Mm-hmm. But they do get more women in them, at least, who get to do things and are capable.
Okay, well that's
I'll give it that. Okay. Not enough by comparison to the male characters, but significantly better than this film as well. Like, this, I don't want to just sit here raving about this film without saying, like, there are some problematic stuff.
Oh, yeah, no, it is definitely problematic, but is definitely a product of its time. Absolutely.
Yeah. And the thing that I really like about what they do with Letty is it would be really easy to make her... I know she's the one who, in the end, her car does flip out and she's in an accident and they have to stop and save her and so on. Mm-hmm. But it's actually Vince they have to save from the mortal peril.
Right.
It would be very easy to make her the kind of MacGuffin, we all care for her because she's the girl of the group, so we have to save her. She's the heart of the group, something like that.
Oh, yeah, they didn't do that at all.
Well, I quite like that it's kind of Jesse that they do that with.
Yeah.
The kid. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and because they do it over two moments, we obviously have the bit with him and Johnny Tran, and then the bit where he is actually shot later on, and that's the reason they go on a revenge driving session.
Right.
It would have been very easy for it to have been something to do with Mia. Not Mia. Well, it would have been Mia or Michelle Rodriguez. Mm-hmm. Because of, toxic masculinity and, I have to revenge my woman. But the fact it's this kid that is actually really smart and we have a lot of time for is a nice turn on the usual thing.
Yes. Yes. Now, did Jesse actually die?
Oh, I thought he did. Maybe he didn't.
It felt ambiguous.
I think you're right. I'm having a quick scan through the, whatever it's called, synopsis. And I think it does say Jesse is shot. I don't think it says whether he dies or not.
Okay.
But I don't think he's in any of the other films. So I don't think it's...
So maybe he did.
So on the character bit, on the Fast and Furious characters page, it does say that they avenged Jesse's death.
Okay.
So...
Okay.
That's the one thing that I did wonder about it in terms of the sex scene. Why there wasn't a sex scene between Mia and Brian. Because I wondered what rating they were going for.
What was it rated?
And I don't know. And I was hoping if I said that, you'd be like, oh, well, it was rated R, so of course it's got all this stuff in it. Or PG-13 or something.
I have no idea.
How do we find out? I mean, it's a 15, which is a fairly standard thing over here. Yes, it's got some violence. Yes, it's got some adult themes, but it's suitable for older teens.
It's PG-13.
PG-13. Interesting. See, I would have thought it was an R. And I wonder if that's why we don't get a definitive thing on the death of Jesse and why the sex scenes aren't quite as adult as they could be.
Yeah, probably.
By scaling them back, it helps them get in because the MPAA certainly is very hard on a lot of illegal activities. So things like the car racing, some of the drug stuff. They might have been more inclined to be harsher on them. So they took out some more of the violence and sex. Mm-hmm. Hornos.
Yeah, it's apparently rated PG-13 for intense sequences of violence and action, some sexual content, language, and drug references.
So that's our scan through the characters briefly. I mean, there's Mia. I don't think we need to talk about Mia.
No, I mean, the most interesting characters in this are Brian and Dominic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the cars.
Well, I'm trying to decide whether I talk to you about cars or whether I talk to you about their relationship. Let's talk about cars. Did this make you want to go and get in the car and drive fast?
Kinda, yeah.
Yes, right?
Kinda, yeah. Except I thought all of the cars had really terribly ugly paint jobs. I did not enjoy the paint jobs of any of these cars, but I did kind of want to get in a car and drive it like 160 miles an hour.
It is very of its time, isn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think I might have driven home from the cinema quite fast. Possibly. Like I said, there was a spate of them. I can remember seeing like Gone in 60 Seconds, which we should watch at some point.
I have seen that one.
You have seen Gone in 60
I
Seconds?
have seen that one, yes.
Yeah, so I remember that one. But that's not quite about driving fast in the same way. Yeah, the cars are very much of their time. Big, flashy, souped up, all that kind of thing, which was very in vogue at the time. It might have been just because I was age appropriate for it. I seem to remember a lot of people doing it. I feel like you don't see it in the same way anymore.
Right.
But maybe that's because I'm old.
Maybe.
Hey. No, you're not old, Matthew.
I mean, I'm old too.
We're both very old. We look
Yes.
at this film going, oh, that's an ugly green. Ugh. Can I get that in a nice silver, please?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm going to tell you that Paul Walker is in Too Fast, Too Furious. The best named film sequel of all time, frankly. Vin Diesel is not.
I think I knew that. That's the one that is in Tokyo, right?
No, that's in Miami. Or,
Oh.
I think, Florida somewhere. Number 3, Tokyo Drift. Doesn't have either of them in it.
Why?
Because they thought this would be a slightly cheap franchise to keep spinning off random car action films. Okay? But on the same idea of street racing, and then they went like, hey, let's do something different with it and turn it into a spy action film.
So they all come back for the fourth one.
They all come back for 4.
Can I skip 2 and 3?
I was going to ask, are you... We're probably not going to watch any more for PCD. I think knowing we have like 8, 9 films left.
7. We have 7 films left.
Probably not going to watch any of this. Can we just turn this into a Fast and Furious podcast for the last few episodes?
No.
Are you going to go away and watch any of them?
I am curious about 4 and on. I'm concerned about 2 and 3.
Okay.
But I feel like, so Paul Walker's in 2, but not in 3. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I kind of need to watch 2 because I left this movie wanting to know what happened to him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because we don't actually know. Does he stay with the police force? Like, that doesn't make sense. But does he get in trouble for all the shit he just pulled? So
does he stay with Mia?
Exactly. I mean, I don't actually care about that part, but...
Ugh. It's a cuddly relationship stuff. Ugh. Give me the driving fast car actiony bang bang.
So if
It's the
neither
official
of them...
title of the film.
Right. Yeah, if neither of them are in 3, can I skip that one?
Like I say, 3, I think, technically comes after 6. So yes, you could skip it, but then revisit it
Okay.
in its place in the films. He says, clicking on the thing to double check. Yes. I think 3... It's really hard to tell you without telling you too much. Basically, the end credit sequence of 6 is the middle of 3. So if you turn off 6 as it finishes as the credits roll, then watch 3, then watch the credits of 6, you're fine back in chronological order.
All right. Okay. I can probably do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that.
And, you will get to see all sorts of, Ludacris turns up in these, Gal Gadot turns up in these, various other people, Dwayne The Rock Johnson becomes a big part of it.
Okay.
I think you need to make sure you tell people on Twitter and perhaps even live tweet or something, but just make sure you put out your thoughts on them, because I am interested to hear what you think as you go through it, because I think they are good, popcorny, Saturday night action flicks.
Well, it'll be fun to actually be able to just, like, live tweet a movie.
Watch a film.
I haven't been able to do that in years, so I think it'll be great.
Oh, stop it.
I mean, it's not like we're going to continue not being able to talk about movies that we watch on
Well,
social
exactly,
media.
yeah.
So this is just our life, right?
Spoiler, we're going to keep talking about films.
Right?
Okay.
All right. Is there anything else that we just need to talk about on this one?
It's really hard because it's another one of those, it's quite a good film. There's not much to it. And there's a lot in here that we can't talk about. The experience of being in the car speed racing scene. The cars themselves and souping up cars. Not really our speciality.
No.
If they were talking about, system interfaces and things like that, we'd be all over this.
Yeah.
The fast and the interface.
No. So it sounds like just overall, we both think this is a ridiculous movie, but we both thoroughly enjoy it and watch it more than once.
Yeah. Turn your brain off. Sit down for something ridiculous when you just want to be entertained.
Yep. All right. Okay. So then what is next on PCD?
Next, we're returning to a franchise we started. We're returning to Tron Legacy.
I'm very curious about this one. Because I did enjoy Tron. I was pleasantly surprised by Tron, if you'll remember. And I'm a big Jeff Bridges fan.
True. This is one of the sort of modern distant sequels.
Right, yes.
So it's 18 years later?
So, and I also don't
28
know...
years later?
Like, I'm curious at how they chose to continue the story. Because it felt like Tron had a very definite ending.
Okay.
So, I'm looking forward to it.
And it's another thing that there is then TV shows and all sorts spun off it, cartoons and so on.
Okay.
As the Fast and Furious does. I mean, we haven't even talked the Fast and Furious Spy Racers.
I don't know what that is.
There is a Fast and Furious TV show, as it turns out, as I found out earlier this year.
Okay.
Because there are, and this is a whole other thing we can go on to. There are short films linking some of the films together. You remember how the MCU used to do short films between some of the stuff? They did 2 or 3 for Fast and Furious, and then there's a TV series which is now in its 3rd series about Dom's cousin Tony Toretto, who was recruited by a government agency together with his friends to infiltrate an elite racing league serving as a front for a crime organisation called Shifter, with a 1 and a 3, that is bent on world domination.
So elite.
Sounds brilliant. Sounds really good.
All right. I think you and I have different opinions about what sounds good.
Was there anything else, just before we finish out, anything else we want to call out from the film? Anything you particularly enjoyed in it?
There was something, and Joseph was like, you have to remember that and say that. And I have no idea what it was. I have no idea.
The bit that I think has become very famous is the doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile, winning's winning. Which I have seen be like forum quotes and, email signature quotes, people using it in that sort of situation.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
It's one of those kind of phrases. And it is a good phrase. It's completely fair. Doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile.
You still won.
Winning's winning. Yeah. But yes, he is good in that moment in the film. It's got a lot of lines like that, I think. Single lines that mean something. It doesn't have the stuff that we like, the Chekhov's gun setup stuff, and the little references to itself as it goes along. There's a few things that it drops in that then become good, but I don't think they are, I'm setting you up subtly. I'm setting you up that this is going to become crap at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not a clever movie.
No.
But it was fun. It was good fun.
I'm having a quick look at the list of the quotes to see if there's anything that's particularly famous. You have to shout, Joseph. Joseph, email us. Leave us a voicemail on speakpipe.com. Had he seen it before?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah. He's such a bro who loves his speed cars racing.
No. When I told him I had to watch The Fast and the Furious, he said, I'm sorry.
Oh,
that's what he said.
It's a good film.
But then he watched it with me, and he enjoyed my reactions. very much into, because I was very vocally reactive in this movie. I didn't take notes, which I'm glad, because if I had taken notes, I wouldn't have been as expressive, right? Because my brain would have been, I have to type that, I have to write that down. And he laughed at me the whole movie,
right?
Because of the way I was reacting to it. I was in it, like super in it.
Now, I wonder, because you didn't react like that to Mad Max Fury Road. Whereas Fury Road, I am gasping throughout. Anything that happens to anyone, I'm like, oh no! Oh, they're safe. Okay, good. Let's carry on.
No, that's how I was in this movie.
Yeah, I wonder if, you need to watch Fury Road again and not take notes.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I also enjoyed watching it, having seen so much of LA, both now having been there and in other movies and things. There was a whole bit in, I think, one of the main roads that they used in Baby Driver that they're running up or driving up at some point. I'm like, that's the road from Baby Driver, like, which owes a good chunk to this film, the resurgence of car films. That was quite fun.
I haven't seen that one either.
You'd enjoy it.
I'm still so pop culturally deprived. Are we sure we need to retire PCD? There's still so many things I haven't seen. Oh, goodness. All right, what do we want to hear from folks? I mean, we've already given everybody one call to action. Do we? I
think that's the call to action for the last few episodes. And we've got some exciting stuff lined up. I mean, I think we should probably mention that. We know what we're doing over the next few episodes, and we're looking forward to them.
Yes. Starting
off with Tron Legacy. We are going to wrap up some sequels and some franchises and things we wanted to visit, and films we have wanted to particularly do. But we also want to hear from people their thoughts on PCD as a whole, on the podcasts, on the episodes, on the films, on what we should have covered, what we covered and we didn't like our response to it, stuff like that.
Yep. And you can do that by finding us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. We are at Eloquent Gushing. Or as Matthew said up top, you can email us using podcast@eloquentgushing.com. Or we would love to hear your voice on just to talk to us, or, a message that we can play in our final episode. So you can do that at speakpipe.com/eloquentgushing. Or, you can just pull out your phone, your recording app on your phone and email us a file. That'd be great too. So yeah, any way that you want to get in touch with us, you can. Absolutely. If you want to just talk to me, you can find me on Twitter at Mandy K.
And you find me on Twitter, I'm at Matthew Vose. And if any of you want to send me a voice message, you can. I'm not going to give my phone number out, but if anyone has it, how about it? I was thinking about it there. Do I just give my phone number out? No.
No.
Pop Culture Deprived and Eloquent Gushing, the network, is completely funded by our listeners like you through Patreon. Anything you give, it helps to support the network. It helps us to develop new shows. Wink, wink. And helps to support everything that we do. And it gives you access to exclusive content, bonus content, early content, all sorts of exciting things. So, if you want to find out more, you can go to patreon.com/eloquentgushing.
And we will be back next week with another episode where we are going to talk about Tron Legacy. Until next time, I am Mandy K.
And you never even had your car. Pop Culturally Deprived is an Eloquent Gushing production. For more information, visit eloquentgushing.com or find us on Twitter at eloquentgushing.